Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Trey Brooks, and welcome to episode 2 of Trey's Transactions. This particular deal we did in April of this year, and we just bought it. It was a pre-foreclosure house. We bought it, put slight rehab into it, then listed it on the market, and sold it within 3 months. So let's dive into it. This was the property right here, and yeah, next slide. So this deal can be broken down into 9 steps. The steps of it were to scrub your list. Step 2 was to try to contact the seller by any means possible. Step 3 would be, or necessary. Step 3 would be qualify the lead. Step 4 would be to evaluate the deal. Step 5 would be inspect the property. Step 6 would be convert the lead. Step 7 would be close the deal. Step 8 would be rehab the property. And then step 9 would be to sell it, obviously. And so step 1 is to scrub your list. Sometimes lists have way too many leads and you may miss out on the opportunity due to trying to contact so many leads. So it gets hard sifting through so much BS whenever you're downloading lists that have like thousands and thousands of leads, for example. And so basically what it's telling you to do is to cherry pick the leads that seem more likely to convert and put in more effort on those leads. And then remember, a deal equals equity plus motivation. So for example, this particular deal, property owner had owned the property for more than 15 years. So I just assumed, okay, like she's owned it for a while, so that can assume that built up some type of equity over the course of the years, assuming that she hasn't taken out a home equity line of credit or has refinanced her house. And so that brings us to step 2, which is to try to contact the lead by any means possible or necessary. If you can't get in contact with a lead due to bad or outdated data, try to contact someone in their immediate sphere of influence, which could be a neighbor, a family member, or social media. So for this deal, I tried to reach out to her numbers that were listed, but none of them worked. So I reached out to a family member who just ended up just putting me in contact with her. So I called her. She wanted to sell her property. And so that brings us to step 3, which is to qualify the lead. So once you've established that the seller has equity and motivation, you got to run your numbers. She had equity and she had motivation. She was about to get foreclosed on next month, and she's owned the property for 15 years or 15 plus years without refinancing the property. The property is probably worth about $190,000, like fixed up or whatever, or in decent condition, like it could be outdated, it'd still be worth like $90,000. She said that she owed about $40,000, and so we ran the numbers, found out that that worked. And then I got to evaluate the deal, which is determine the property's value, run the comps, and then estimate the repairs. Determine a ballpark figure, and remember that your investor formula is 70% of the value minus repairs equals your max allowable offer. So, like I said earlier, the numbers checked out, and so we set up a time to inspect the property. So in this case, the seller didn't live in the property and it was open. So since the decision maker wasn't there, I sent an inspector to take a look at the property. If you watched episode 1, then I said that it's always best practice if the decision maker is going to be there and you can be there, you're not trying to virtually do the deal, then when you can, it's best to be there with the decision maker so you can meet them, build rapport, shake their hand, get the house under contract, and negotiate with them right there on the spot without it having to go like back and forth. And so this particular property had, during the inspection, the inspector noticed mold and that it was outdated. So the property was in good condition, it just needed to be cleaned out. There was a little bit of mold, and then like I said, it was outdated. So we estimated that the rehab would be $10,000. So remember, the investor formula is 70% of the value minus repairs equals your max allowable offer. Which brings us to step 6, which is to convert the lead. The seller just wanted to stop the foreclosures from getting on her record. She had already given up and was just going to let the house go to the bank. So she owed the bank $44,000, and we offered her $49,000, and she happily accepted and signed the contract electronically. So we was able to make it a win-win situation to where she was able to get $5,000 in her pocket, stop the foreclosures from going on her record, and like I said, get paid. You know what I'm saying? We're in a situation where she was helpless or hopeless and wasn't going to get anything. So like I said, we were able to provide a win-win situation, which I always feel good about, which is kind of what makes it worthwhile being a real estate investor, when I can help people solve their real estate problems. And so then step 7 would be close the deal. You got under contract, etc. So I sent the paperwork to the closing attorney. We closed in 10 days. The seller got $5,000 in her pocket, and we stopped the foreclosures from going on a record. So then, which brings us to step 8, which is to rehab the property. For this property, all we did was clean it out, get rid of the mold, and then fix some fencing. And so, like I said, our rehab budget was about $10,000 on this property. Didn't really do too many updating or cosmetic repairs. Just fixed like some primary stuff. Like I said, the mold had to go, the stuff that was in the house had to go, and then we had to fix the fencing. And so this is kind of what the property looked like after we bought it or cleaned it out. So you can see there was a shed in the back, looked like a barn. This is the front of the property. This is the back of the property. Let's see. This was the carport. This was the inside of it after we cleaned it out. The inside. See the wood paneling, outdated as hell. Like I said, it wasn't in too bad a shape. Just needed to be cleaned out. Outdated. CAC, just like I said, just outdated. Wasn't a bad looking house at all. I've definitely seen way worse. Definitely been in way worse. Definitely this was a walk in the park. So yeah, that's what the house looked like. We cleaned it out, got rid of the mold, and then we fixed the fencing. Then step 9 was to sell it. So we put the property on the market. The property went under contract in 2 months. Like I said, it was an as-is property, but we was on a higher price point than as-is comp. So like I said, we were on a higher price point than as-is comp. So it took a little bit longer to sell, but it still sold in a reasonable amount of time. So the property went under contract in 2 months at $93,000. And remember, we're in this property for $54,000. But unfortunately, the buyer's financing for this house fell through, and we had to put it back on the market, which took us a little bit longer to sell the property. And so a month after that, it sold for $89,500. So we still made about a $30,000 profit in 3 months, which is still okay with us. So so that's it. That's how we close that deal. Quick reminder, if you guys don't mind, just follow me on Instagram at Real Estate Trey. My YouTube channel, just subscribe to it. It's Real Estate Trey. My Facebook, Trey Brooks. My LinkedIn, Trey Brooks. Or you can email me at realestatewithtrey@gmail.com. If you email me or follow me or subscribe and let me know that you've done so, I'll email you a gift, or I'll give you a gift. So don't hesitate to do so. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask me any questions. Like I said earlier, I just want to provide value in as many ways as possible. Use me as a resource. Let me know if I can help you in any kind of way, and I'll try my best to do so. So again, this is Trey Brooks. This is episode 2. Tune in soon for episode 3. If this gave you valuable content or this helped you, let me know. Drop a like, drop a comment, and that pushes me or inspires me to keep going. So yeah, deuces.